So now the MayFest at Tullibardine Farm. It's one of my favourite events of the year, to be honest, and it's a little bit different to the other festival at Tullibardine because this one is ran on weight. So it's not on section points, it's a random draw over house pool, extension, new and club, and yeah, it's just on weight over the 3 days, so your combined weight is what matters. So obviously those 4 lakes that are in, house, extension, new and club, to be honest, you want to avoid club because it doesn't fish quite as well as a house and an extension, or it doesn't have the potential really. Like you could have a mega day on house and extension, whereas on club I don't think you could. And new pool, it's pretty steady. Extension seems to be really good at the minute. There's loads of stockies, loads of F1s in it feeding, and house pool has some absolute massive ones. So I was really looking forward to it, and the talk was that casters were going to be absolutely the bait, to be honest. And it's mental because literally I was talking to you not that long ago about the spring festival there, and meat was the bait. All they wanted was meat. But I went there on the first day and I drew peg 21 on new pool. Now it's just middle of the back straight, to be honest. It's nothing special, I don't think, but I really wanted to fish casters to the reeds across. That was my little plan before I went there. I thought, oh yeah, I'm just going to catch them on casters every day across. If I couldn't catch them shallow, I'll catch them on a worm head on the bottom. And I went there and I saw my peg and I was like, this is very, very wide. Birds of prey. Yeah, I went there and my peg was very, very wide. It was past 16 metres. I got my pole out. It was a bit windy and I thought, I put my next section on, so I got another 60 metre section out. I was like, oh, this is long now. And I plumbed it up and it was literally that deep. I thought, well, I'm not going to catch shallow there because there's not enough water under the fish to catch them shallow, and I don't feel like I'm going to catch loads on the bottom. So I got that idea away. I put all those sections away and I just thought, I'm just going to fish down the middle of the lake. So I just got out 30 metres of pole. I plumbed up on the bottom. And I thought I'll loose feed casters there and I'll set up a rig up for the bottom, and then I'll set a few shallow rigs up and stuff for that line. And then I thought I'll catch short, so I always plumb up a short line at Tullibardine. You can catch really well at the end. So I plumbed up a short rig where it was about 3 foot deep, and then I plumbed up in the edge as well to my left here, where it was about 2 foot deep, to be honest, and it was absolutely fantastic there. It plumbed up really, really nice. So starting my match short, I decided hard pellets. Pellets, when you don't really know what's going to happen, I feel like it's just a safe bet always to just start on pellets. Fed some fishery 4 mils, just rattled some in on a top kit +2. It's about 3 foot deep. Started on a 4 mil banded pellet. I went in and I caught one, but it was about this big. Caught one, it was about this big. And I caught another one, it was about that big. And I carried on doing it for like 20 minutes, but I had a few people fishing like other baits next to me, like meat and stuff, and they weren't getting loads of bites. And they might have had like, I know that Craig Partridge, he was next to me to my right, and he only had 2 on meat short, but he had 2. He had it on a top kit, and they're about this big each, and I had about 10, and they're about that big each. And so I thought, don't feel like hard pellets are going to be the bait, but I was feeding casters out there, and I thought I've got to carry on this for at least half an hour, just to prime that line. Priming lines is really important. You want to gather the fish in. Especially if you're planning to catch shallow. Like me personally, I don't ever like to just start shallow and just, unless your lakes are solid. But for me, I wanted to build it up, and I gave it half an hour, and I knew it wasn't the right thing to do on this pellet line, but I just knew I had to prime my main swim for the day. So I went on it and I started shallow, because sometimes when you've been feeding for ages, the fish can just be really confident because the pole isn't over the reds. So I started shallow and I never had a bite. Went through all my depths, started at like 12 inches, and I moved all the way up to like 2.5 foot, and it just never got going, to be honest. So I went on the bottom, loose feeding casters, so I put like a nice chunk of worm on, and I went in and it was went, and I caught a big one straight away, about 2.5 pounds. I thought, great, that is great, that is. And I went in again, I caught another one, and it was absolutely brilliant. I hardly getting any liners or anything. It's just catching, I was just going in, putting my rig in, feeding some casters, and it was just going under absolutely beautifully for a bit. And I'll show you my rig for it. Now, I caught on this same rig in different depths pretty much every single day. Now, this is just a short top kit. It's just got a short number 3 section here, which I'll show you if I can get it apart. So this is just a short number 3 section. I think it's called a super super parallel or super
HS3.
HS38. That's the code for it. I know it's the code, but I don't know the
Super
name.
number 3.
A super number 3 section, and then just a match number 2 section. And I really like this setup because it's nice and light. So obviously when you're fishing longer lengths sometimes and you don't want to unbalance your pole, and this top kit just sits absolutely beautifully. It's nice and light. And the match number 2 means that if you do have a big fish on, like a big carp, it's got a little bit more flex than like a one-piece short kit. So sometimes you can bottom elastic out in a short kit, and having that match number 2 means you've got a little bit of bend, and I feel like you just pull out a few less fish, to be honest, fishing this setup. So it's just got a match number 2, short number 3 section. It's just set up absolutely beautifully. And because I didn't know what weight we were fishing for really on new pool, I just went for, it's just white hydro elastic. It's absolutely beautiful for your F1 fishing. So white hydro elastic, and then this little bead connection. All I do is literally just lasso my my rig over the elastic next to the knot, put it up next to that knot, and I've just got a little bead that just slides over that, and it just sits over that, and it just covers it beautifully. And it's just a nice direct connection, especially for when you're fishing shallow. It just means that you miss less bites because you've got that direct connection. So that's my setup for that. 017 reflow power mainline, pretty much on all my rigs now in the summer. That's what I use. It's nice and durable, never going to snap, never going to let me down. Two number 8 back shots, just keep my rig in position. Quite windy on the day, and you don't want your rig blown around everywhere. You want it to go in, sit, and just be fishing. You don't want it blowing around or towing through or anything like that. You want it to sit where you put it in. So back shots are really important. I've just got 2 number 8s, and this is my float. Now this is my float for all of my deck fishing this week at Tunnelbarn. I used them in a 4x12 and a 4x14, depending on the depth. Obviously when it was deeper, I was using this 4x14 float. If it's shallower, I was using a 4x12. So it's just got a carbon stem. I really like carbon stem floats. It means when you flick it in, it follows the rig through the water. You can catch an odd fish on the drop, but I just think it sits beautifully, to be honest. And it's just my go-to. It's just got a nice slim body, but the most important thing about this float is it's got a 1.7mm bristle. This is a 1.7mm Maggie, a 1.7mm bristle, a bit thicker than a 1.5. It means that when you get an odd liner, you're not striking at them, you're not striking into the fish and foul looking them or anything like that. You can really float really, really nicely, and it's just a little bit more sensitive than a 2mm that I might use for big carp. But to be honest, I still use this float. It's my my go-to deck rig, to be honest. And yeah, it's just the absolute perfect float for that. Yellow tip as well, you've noticed here. Not many people do this. Most people just fish with red. But for me, at Tunnelbarn Farm, the water seems to be really, really green. And yellow stands out absolutely fantastically. So I've got myself some yellow ones. I always used to just carry red. But yellow floats, I could just see it beautifully in the green water. I thought it was really, really nice. So that's my float. And then running down to my actual shotting, I keep it this, dead simple. It's the same on all my rigs. It's literally just got a bulk of number 9s, got 2 little trimmer shot just to trim the float down a little bit, just a bulk of number 9s, and then literally moving down, probably only 6 inches apart, is 1 number 9 dropper. It's literally as simple as that, because I think if I'm fishing on the bottom, I just want my rig to get to the bottom. So I keep it that simple, to be honest. And then just literally a 4-inch hook length of 011 power line. It's got a little knot in it actually. Just 011 power line, and then running down to just a 16 SFL hook from Preston. Now most people use a 16 Super LWG or a GPMB from Preston, but I used to be sponsored by Preston, and I used to use this hook all the time, and it's a little bit lighter than a Super LWG, slightly heavier than a Guru F1 pellet, so it's like a little bit of an in-between. And I just feel like they suck it in a little bit better because it's a little bit lighter. And yeah, it's just my go-to. I've caught loads of big carp on it as well. I think it's a brilliant hook, so I really like these hooks. So yeah, that's my deck rig, and I use the same rig pretty much every day. But obviously, if it was only 3 foot deep, I would have had a 4x12 float on it. But because here it is 48 inches deep, so 4 foot deep, I'd use a 4x14. So I kept my rigs dead simple, and that was my deck rig. So going back to the match, obviously I was catching really well on worms on the bottom. Catching these big F1s, and it was going great. And then I caught an odd run of random bream. I caught probably 25, 30 pound of these bream, and it was really, really good, to be honest. But then what happened, it was quite windy start with, quite overcast. The sun came out, and then everything wanted to sit shallow. Like all the F1s came shallow. I was foul looking them on the bottom, and I could tell the bottom isn't good now. So I went out shallow. I could not catch one. Never had a bite. My float never moved. I moved all my depths up and down. I tried my Maggie rig. I tried overshotted rigs. I tried all sorts, and I just couldn't catch them. So I persevered on the bottom, foul looking an odd one, and it wasn't going to plan at this point. And then with 2 hours to go, I thought, this isn't going very well now. So I thought, I'll throw maggot short, and that's what I did to start with. But I went on it, and all I caught was perch, 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 and it's a nightmare at Tunnel Barn. You've got to net every single one. You've got to put it in your net with your net, and it's just a nightmare, to be honest. So I just had an inkling that casters were good on the bottom out there, so I've changed that to casters short, and with an hour and a half, hour and 20 to go, I caught an F1 every single put in there, pretty much to the end, an odd big carp and stuff, and it was amazing. And I ended up with £116, and it won new pool. So I won the lake on the first day. I didn't catch the biggest weight. I think what was winning at that point was about 150. Yeah, John Arthur had won with £148 the first day, so he was quite ahead on weight. But I did all I could from new pool. You can't do much more than winning your lake, so I got off to an absolutely perfect start. So we've been here at Monk Hall Fishery today, and we filmed 2 masterclass sessions. The first one was fishing hard pellets across, fishing on the bottom and up, catching them clever sucking fish, and that was really, really good. And then later on, we've been fishing a really informed method at the minute, fishing casters short on our top kit, moving into shallower water, and I showed you boatloads of stuff on both methods, and it's been an absolutely great day. If you're already a member of the Catchwell Media channel, go and check them out on the members channel now. But if you're not, it's easy to sign up. Just go to a laptop or a desktop, click the join button. It's £5 a month, and for that £5 you get 2 masterclass sessions every month, and you get 2 live matches every single month, and you get to see all the previous content already on there. So if you're not a member, go and join the channel and check out all the content that's on there. So day 2, again, it's a random draw. So I was hoping for extension or house pool, and I drew extension peg 9, and this is a brilliant peg. It's got like 2 plant pots in it. It's got an end of an island. You've got nobody till peg 13. You just got a lot of room, to be honest, and it's always a good area on extension pool, and I really, really fancied it, to be honest. And where I decided to plumb up, there's a plant pot to the left, and there's people opposite you here, and you've got a plant pot to the right, but Callum Dix was going to fish to the one to the right because he was opposite me. So he fished to the right one, I fished to the left one, so we weren't messing around in each other's spots. So I plumbed up on the bottom there. I was going to loose feed casters there and hopefully catch shallow under this pot. I set up a short rig. Now here at Tunnel Barn Farm, the fish love to feed really, really short, and I plumbed up, went out to a top kit +3, I went to a top kit +2, and I went to a top kit that's all the same depth. So I thought, with it being on weight, fishing for a big weight, I thought I'll try and get it on a top kit because it's the same depth. Why won't they come there? Because it was quite windy on the day, blowing actually out of my peg, to be honest, like down the lake to the left. But I thought if I can catch them on that top kit there, just in front of my nets, it's going to be perfect. So I plumbed up there, and I plumbed up to my left, also just around from my nets, where it was about 3 foot deep, so a little bit shallower. And I thought if I can alternate those two, I'm going to catch a big, big weight with some shallow to the pot. So started off though, I always start on pellets if I don't know what to do really. Started off on pellets, feeding 4 mils on a top kit. I just threw 3 4 mil pellets in, 6 mil in the bank, so I thought, oh, I want to catch a big fish if I can. I went on it, caught a big F1 first chuck again. Like, it's amazing how often it happens to me where I catch one first chuck. Caught one, caught another one, and then missed bites, and I caught these little stockies, the same ones I caught the day before. So I knew pellets weren't going to be right, but again, primed this little plant pot up for half an hour, went on it, went shallow, never had a bite. Same as the day before, unbelievable, went and never had a bite. Went on the bottom, and I had a run of like £1.5 carp. They're like these little stocky carp on worms, fishing casters. And it went quite nicely for a little bit. Caught an odd F1 shallow, probably only a handful, probably 5 to this pot. But on this match on peg 7 next to me, I had John Arthur. Now obviously he'd won the match the day before from peg 2 on extension. He was on 7 today, and he's got a big like reed bed and rushes stick up where he could fish shallow towards them. And he just went out shallow straight away, caught a few in his edge to start with, and then he went out shallow like a metre off these stick ups, and he just annihilated me, to be honest. He was catching F1s every chuck in. Like, I only had like 5 shallow, and he was catching one every single put into this plant pot. Sorry, not to this plant pot, towards the stick-ups where he was. He was catching one shallow every chuck in, on overshotted rigs as well, and I was thinking, why isn't mine going under? And to be honest, I shouldn't have even fished this plant pot. I got drawn into it. I feel like if I fished just in the open water, I'd have caught more, but I'll go on to that later on. So I kind of fished that for a little bit, and then I came short, and obviously the day before, casters had been really good short on the bottom, so I threw casters in, and it went clunk, and I caught some big F1s. But I was getting lots of liners, even on just a short kit in front of my nets, and I even went in the shallow water to my left. I caught a few, and it was quite good, to be honest, but I was still foul looking quite a few fish doing this, so I thought, God, this is annoying, I don't know what to do with this. So I tried putting a pole pot on and sneaking my casters into my peg and fishing over it, and to be honest, it was still getting liners and stuff, like they wanted to be shallow, and I should have read the signs a lot earlier, because I persevered the last 2 hours, foul looking fish, getting an odd one in the mouth, trying worms, trying maggots on the hook. I tried even a banded caster on the bottom, and that was quite good as well, but kept foul looking an odd fish, caught an odd one, foul looked a few, but I should have read the signs. I should have just fished 6 metres, where it's the same depth as where I was fishing on a short kit. I should have fished 6 metres shallow, and I'd have caught one every chuck in, to be honest, on overshotted rigs. Same as John Arthur was, but he was fishing a bit further over. I feel like I'd have caught absolutely loads doing that, to be honest. They wanted to come up shallow, I just didn't read the signs, so big error from my part, but I still weighed 126 pounds, so it was a good weight on the day. I think I was 6th overall. I was 6th overall on the day, and then the first day I was also 5th overall, so I was 6th overall on the second day, and it's frustrating because John next to me had won. He'd won with 155, so it's not that much more than me, and there was that many fish wanting to come up off the bottom, and obviously I couldn't come any shorter towards myself to try and keep them on the bottom, because I'm only fishing a short kit like next to my nets and pallets and things, and they just wanted to come up shallow. I should have read the signs. I should have just flicked a few casters in, and I'm sure I'd have caught some just shallow in the open water. The plant pot was a waste of time, to be honest, just 6 metres shallow, and I'd have caught enough to win that day, so really annoying that day. Still got a good weight, because I was lucky enough to be on that lake, I think. But yeah, really frustrating day 2. 126 pounds, so I think I was lying. I was third going into day 3, so I was hoping for a peg on house pool to push the leaders now. And I drew peg 19 on club. Didn't want to draw club. It's not been as good all week. I think the best weight off club all week was, up to that point, was 108 pounds, so it's like, oh no, I'm going to drop down now. Which is really frustrating, but luckily for me, I've drawn a peg on the lake there where it won the lake, to be honest, both days of the festival so far, so it wasn't that bad, but on a weight festival you just don't want to draw there. But anyway, I've got like 2 reed beds on the left and right edge. I've got some shallow water to my right, and the island was too far. I went over there and it was past 60 metres again, so I thought, no, I'm not going to fish there. I decided on 11 metres down the middle of the canal. And then I decided I was going to fish left, just next to these reeds with casters on the bottom. It was about 3 foot deep there, and I got 4 foot on a top kit in front of my nets, so I was going to catch some there on the bottom. And then I plumbed up a little muddy rig for fishing in the edge with ground bait, again, Sonia baits, match method ground bait with some micros in, and I was going to fish maggots or a bit of worm on the hook there at the end, hopefully, because in club pool it's full of big carp and big F1s. Not many of the smaller ones, mainly when you get one it's like a big fish. So I started off on a top kit with casters. I decided to sack that 4mm pellets off, because I've only been catching these little fish on it, so I thought I'm just going to start straight away on casters, be nice and positive. Started on it and never had a bite for 20 minutes. I threw to my left in slightly shallower water. It was about 3 foot deep here, next to some reeds. It was quite bright as well, it's quite sunny, and I caught some. I think I caught like 6, 7 fish in the first hour, just fishing there on the bottom. A bit of worm on the hook was good, like a nice 2-inch chunk of worm. And I'd catch like some big F1s, but those 7 F1s, they probably went 20 pound the first hour. So I'm like, that's okay. If it keeps picking up and picking up, it'd be really, really good. So fished there for a little bit, again, priming my shallow line. I was going to catch, about 11 metres, I thought. And I went on it. Obviously, my run now on the edge has died a little bit. I went on it, slapped my rig in. I slapped that Winter Maggie rig in, so we'd strung out shots with a banded caster. And I went in and missed a bite and caught a big F1. second flick, went back out, flicked it in again, missed a bite, flicked it in, big F1. I thought, oh, I'm actually going to catch more than I thought here. But I kept changing the depth and things, trying to keep in touch with the fish. Obviously, if I was missing bites, I'd shallow it up. If I wasn't getting bites, I'd go deeper and catch an odd one. But I thought I can catch them now on overshotted rigs. It was quite windy, so I thought they wouldn't mind the pole like being flicked up in the water and stuff. So I went on an overshotted rig, about 16 to 20 inches deep. That would seem to be the little window they were in. And I put it in, and I got the elastic dragged out literally every chuck then for like 2 hours. So I'm like 3 hours in now, and I've probably got 70, 80 pound at least now, and it was going really, really well. And then all of a sudden it just died. Couldn't catch anything shallow. Had no bites on the bottom. I went back in the left edge where I was throwing casters earlier, and I just couldn't catch them. There was just no fish there. Like, it just didn't go under. And I just kept changing my lines pretty much. Like, kept alternating all my lines. Obviously that top kit in front of my nets, and never actually. I think I had one on it maybe in the last hour, but until then I never had a single bite there all day. And never had a bite on the bottom out in the open water. And then there, I never had a bite. But then with an hour to go, I had 20 inches. I'll show you my rig in a minute. In this right-hand edge. And I caught some carp and some F1s. And they were really, really big, to be honest, in my right-hand edge. And I'll show you my rig. Obviously, it's got that two-piece top kit again. The short number 3 and the match number 2. And this is just black elastic. And it's like Harry Bignell's range. And I'm just trying it out, to be honest, seeing what it's like. And it seems quite nice, but this is quite a thick elastic. And most people would be scared to put that through their short kits. But for me, I was only fishing a short kit and a short 4 down the edge. So I can't see the point in fishing white hydro when I'm fishing for like 4 or 5 pound, 3, 4 pound F1s and 5, 6 pound carp. They're just gonna shoot off in the middle of the lake, and I want to get a good run. I want to be as efficient as I can. So fishing with like a heavier elastic means you can just land them a bit faster. So this is their black elasto. I think it's rated as a, what's it rated as? No idea, I can't remember, but it's really, really nice and thick, nice and durable, and it gets the big F1s and carp under control absolutely perfectly. So that's the elastic, that same bead connection. I've got 017 reflow power main line, just a 0.4 RW muddy float, nice little glass stem, just sits there absolutely perfect, never going to break. A 2mm bristle. You don't want to be striking at liners and stuff. That 2mm bristle just means you don't strike at any liners. And it was, yeah, 22 inches deep, so just less than 2 foot next to the bank. And it can be quite shallow on club pool in the edge, so I was quite lucky to have a bit of depth right next to the bank. I thought, oh, I'll catch some there. And the shotting pattern's nice and simple as well, just literally a bulk of number 8 stots, and then just a little 3-inch hook length, and this is just 013, a little bit stronger than my rigs in the open water, because I could catch some odd carp and stuff. So it's 3-inch hook length of 013, and this is just a 14 GPMB hook for fishing bits of worm, big bunch of maggots, that kind of thing. So I'm looking to catch some big fish. And with an hour to go, I had to be nice and patient. I had to fish with, to get a fish to come in the peg, I had to fish with a Guru paste pot, and it holds quite a lot of bait, that does. I started on a large one, which is about half the size, and I'd get an odd one come in the peg, but I had to wait absolutely ages to get a bite. I put a paste pot on, and they'd come straight in. But I fished that for the last hour, and I think I had to be nice and patient. Like, I didn't catch that many. I only had like 7 or 8, but they were big carp or big F1s, and I probably had like 40 pound that last hour. No, 30 to 40 pound that last hour, and it was a good finish considering literally the hour before I probably caught 1 fish, and I was nice and patient in my right hand edge, and I caught some bigger carp, big F1s, and I weighed 108 pound, and it won my lake again. So I won the lake on the first day, I was second on my lake on the second day, and I won my lake on the last day, only with 108 pound though. Obviously it's on weight, and I dropped down a little bit. Obviously I was 3rd going into the last day, but I ended up 4th. Luckily, I managed to cling on to 4th. I've just beat somebody by a few ounces, so that was really nice. I can't remember my exact weight, but I remember John Arthur won it. He obviously won the match 2 days and had a little bit of a struggle on Newpool, and he had well over, I reckon he had about 370 pound over 3 days. No, 300, yeah, 370, 380 pound over 3 days. And then Craig Meadows was 2nd, and Paul Holland was 3rd, and then I was 4th. So fantastic festival, caught lots of fish, and now I just can't wait for this Pole Masters in the summer, to be honest. That's my favourite festival. So fingers crossed we can draw some pegs and have some good fishing on that one. So it's coming into summertime now and things are officially on the change. Now, on the Catch More Media channel, there is a members section, exclusive videos like live matches, masterclasses, and also a live stream every single month. It's all on there to see, and obviously all the tactics as the weather changes, it's all there to see. Masterclass sessions, live matches at different times of year and different venues with people like Kieran Marsden, Brad Lucas, Christian Jones and myself. We do live matches all the time, and there's probably hundreds of live matches on there now. Masterclass sessions like fishing meat short, fishing caster shallow, mugging, it's all on there. It's all to see, and we keep doing them regularly. And so if you sign up every single month, you're going to get 2 masterclass sessions, you're going to get 2 live matches, and you're going to get a live stream every single month, and it only costs £5 to join. And now you might be asking, how do you join? And you need a laptop or desktop to do it. So you need to go to the Catch More Media YouTube channel, you need to click the join button, and it's only £5 a month. So you're getting 5 fresh videos, a live stream for £5 a month, and you get to see all the older videos that are on there as well. And there's so much stuff to go through, and you'll be able to go to your venues, use these tactics and catch an absolute boatload of fish. So go and check out the Catch More Media page and join in the members section.